Hey, good morning. Michael Didier here. I'm glad you're there. Thank you for joining us today. Jacob. We're continuing our adventure with Jacob. What an awesome guy he is. I really like Jacob. I love Abraham, but I like Jacob. I like all the forefathers. Last week, do you remember what we did last week? We saw the aftermath of what happened in Shechem after Simeon and Levi killed all the men of that city, took the virgins for themselves, and the boys brought them back. The only one left in the camp was who? Women, widowed women. Ooh. The Canaanites were really unhappy about that, weren't they? 10,000 of them. 7 kings representing 7 cities came to Jacob and to his sons. Do you remember what happened? Jacob prayed. Isaac prayed. And they prayed that the counsel of these Canaanites would be turned so that they would not fight against Jehovah's men. Ooh, I think it's so interesting because they remembered all the things that happened to the Hebrews. I wrote a paper this week about the Hebrews. Jehovah is going to preserve the Hebrews. They're his segula, the ones that he keeps close to himself and never lets them out of his sight. You know, there's lots of people out there who think they're Hebrews. But is saying you're a Hebrew important? Or is being a Hebrew what's important? You're not a Hebrew if you haven't left the country of your birth, haven't made yourself holy Jehovah's man. It's not about the ladies, it's about the men. They remembered the Canaanites. They said, ooh, do you remember what happened to Abraham when he was a baby? How they tried to kill him on several occasions? Do you remember when Nimrod, Amraphel, threw him into his fiery furnace to destroy him? Him and his brother. Abraham came out alive. Oh boy, that sure put the, that rained on Nimrod's parade, let me tell you. Talk about eating crow. The man that you're throwing in front of, or in the furnace, in front of your whole nation. Remember, it said everybody was there. They were talking about men. Everybody was there. The ladies watched from the rooftops, from the windows. But doggone if that doggone Abraham or Abram wasn't walking around in that furnace for 3 days. I hate it when that happens, Nimrod says. Well, later on, they remembered that it was Abraham when 800,000 men, Chedorlaomer, title, king of nations, Arioch, king of Elazar, and Amraphel came with 800,000 men raiding and took Lot and his family and all belonging to him. Abram heard of it, took Eliezer and another 317 servants with some of Heth's, the seed of Heth, I believe it was, that went with him as well. There was there were actually Canaanites that went with him. But they brought back Lot, his wife, and they killed 800,000 men. The only one that got away, only ones that got away were the 4 kings. By the way, Remember last week we were talking about the 5 kings that came out of the north? And I named the 4 kings. I couldn't think what the 5th one was. It turned out I was right. They were wrong. There was only 4 kings. There's mistakes. There's mistakes in Torah. There's mistakes in Yasher. We've got to go and we got to dig deeper. Don't hang your hat on a phrase and make it your truth. You're going to run into problems eventually. Because not everything you read is to be understood in what we think it says. Sometimes we've got to look at it line upon line, here a little, there a little, precept upon precept, to really get the big picture. Today's going to be a perfect example when we talk about Genesis 36. Well, they continued. Talked about the 800,000 men. Remember, this is what the counselors are saying to the kings. In fact, they said, before they even started telling them about what the Hebrews have done, he said, are you silly? Almost like knocking on his head. Hello? What are you thinking? You're going to fight against the Hebrews? Yeah, it's 10,000 to 103. No, 113. But those aren't good odds. Not if you're a Canaanite. No, what does he say? One shall put 1,000 to flight, 2 shall put 10,000 to flight. Well, 2 already put to death a city. And now, instead of 2, we got 113. 14 counting Jacob, sounds like. Well, then they talked about, and we saw with our own eyes when Esau came to destroy Jacob with 400 men. Yehovah delivered him. And now these 2 men, these 2 boys, have destroyed a whole city. Now they left that day with their tail between their legs. You know what? That didn't feel good. They didn't like doing that, coming back home. Yeah, honey, we decided that it was best not to fight with him today. His wife looks at him and says, what? You wimps? What's up with that? The aldermen of the city looking at them saying, what do you mean? You had 10,000, they had 113, 114, and you left? No, sometimes the best part of valor is discretion, isn't it? They preserved their life that day. And the people that are ranking on them now are going to be sorry for it today and next week as we go through some of these chapters in Yasher. We left off on chapter 35. Today we're going to do chapter 36. But we're not going to come back to Genesis for at least a couple weeks because of the things that we're going to see. You know, after the battle, we did this chapter in 35 that you see on the screen right now. Look at verse 2. It says, and Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, put away the foreign Elohim that are among you. Purify yourselves. Change your garments. Down here, it says, so they gave Jacob all the foreign gods, all the foreign Elohim, the idols, which were in their hands, and the earrings that were in their ears. And Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree, which was by Shechem. But it's not there anymore. Well, I was thinking about this, and I mentioned it last week, that these earrings, you know, we talked about foreign gods, and here it talks about earrings, foreign gods and earrings in verse 5. No, 4. And then in verse 2, it was talking about foreign Elohim, the idols, and purifying yourself, changing your garments. Well, it reminded me about several things that I think I should just mention briefly as it relates to us today. One, Rachel had stolen her father's idols. Did she still have those? I often wondered if that's the reason that Rachel died early. 45 years old. We saw it last week. We're going to see it again today. But, you know, then I'm looking at Leah thinking she's more righteous, but she died at 51, still very young. 6 years later. But I wondered about these earrings. Foreign gods. You know, that's the second commandment. You shall have no idols, graven images. That's what these are, graven images. But what about purifying yourselves, changing your garments? Purifying yourselves. What does it take to purify yourself? I think he may be talking to the ladies, the virgins, and the young boys that they just took from this city. Is that possible? Is it possible that he's really not talking about his house? Look, it says, here, let me just go up a little bit here. And Jacob said to his household, and to all who were with him. I think he's more talking to all who were with him than his household, because I would think his household, obviously the boys understand what these images are all about. The boys understand who they're supposed to serve. But changing your garments, purify yourselves, changing your garments. It reminded me of this verse. Remember, when they took Dinah, it was an act of war. We read this in light of that. When thou go to war against thy enemies, and Yehovah your Elohim delivers them into your hand, and thou take them captive, and see her, and see. Why do I have see her? And see. Among the captives, a beautiful woman, and desire her, and take her. Take her. No, maybe it is, and thou see her. Captive, and thou see her. I guess the her is there. Take her for thy woman. Take for thee, to thee, for thy woman. And thou bring her home to thy house. And she shall shave her head, trim her nails. Look what it says. She shall put off the clothes of her captivity. Is that what's going on here? Change your garments? Put off the clothes? I wonder. We are arranging our lives differently. Even when we're taken captive, our lives are being changed, I guess, for us, aren't they? But in regard to these earrings, I have to think that there's more to this story. What's an earring? What does that earring do? I think it shows possession. These women, these children, were possessed by their fathers, who really ultimately were possessed by Shechem and his dad, Hamor, 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 Hamor. son of Hamer. Yeah. Possession. These earrings are demonstrating possession. Reminds me of remember when Eliezer went to get a bride for Isaac? He saw Rebekah, he put a nose ring in her ear. Was that a betrothal? I think it was. Remember when we take when we have a fellow Israelite who has become our servant, and he likes being our servant. We've given him a woman, and he's had children, and now he's able to go free at the end of 7 years. But this servant says, I love my master. I love my woman. I love my tough, my children. I want to stay. And that's when the master does this. It says, then his master shall bring him to the judges, the Elohim of this city. He shall also bring him to the door post, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl. Now, are we going to pierce his ear with an awl and not put something in the hole? Well, that wouldn't make any sense. This servant is going to be a lifetime servant of his master. All his children are going to be servants of his master. No, I think we're putting it in his ear to demonstrate who he belongs to. This is what we do with a wedding ring. A wedding ring. The wedding ring is for especially the woman to have something that demonstrates that she belongs to another. Not available. I like the idea of a family crest. Father, let me be part of the millennial kingdom. I so want to be there. I want to raise a family. Lots of women. Lots of children. I want to raise up my gates like Abraham and Isaac raised up, and Jacob raised up their gates, especially Jacob. 4 women. Their sons took women, some multiple women, and grew a gate. You know, with a gate you can defend yourself. That's what I want. I want to have the strength to be able to do what's right. You know, right now, the world has brought us down to these nuclear family units. You know what? There's no strength in a nuclear family unit. Myself, my wife, and my 2 kids. There's no strength. You're vulnerable. But when you have a large, extended family, generation upon generation, where the grandpa can teach the sons' the ways of Yahovah, where they practice in making war on a daily basis, you get strength and you get the power to do what's right, even when everybody else does what's wrong. And this is kind of where Jacob's at right now. He's trained his sons for war. They understand what it takes to defend the family. They're going to stand up for what's right. What did they say in chapter 37? They took our sister, stealing, and made a whore out of her, committed harlotry with her. They cause an adultery. That should not be done in Israel. They're standing up for what is right in the world. And that is what the Hebrews do. We don't have to stand for mediocrity. Thank God for that. I hate mediocrity. No, there's more for us to see. Well, let's get started with our lesson. We left off, we finished this portion right after the battle. They fled, they went to Bethel. They did. And they were there for about a half a year. And at the end of a half a year, Jacob was 100. And it was at that time that Deborah died, Rebecca died, Rachel gave birth, and she died. She gave birth to Benjamin. And at the end of this chapter, it was Isaac who died. He came to his father in Hebron when he was 100 years old. Isaac would have been 160 years old. And for 20 years, he was with his dad. His dad finally is going to die at 180 years old when Jacob is 120 years old. But there are lots of things that are going to happen between Jacob being 100 and Jacob being 120. And one of the things that's going to happen is a battle that's going to take place. We're going to maybe even get into it today if I don't stop talking. With the same 7 kings. Only this time it isn't going to go well for the kings. Ooh, we're going to see a shadow picture of what it's going to be like in the last days, during what we have called the tribulation. Oh man, wait till you see what the sons of Israel are like, how they fight, their strength, their power, their agility. Even their voice is going to wreak havoc on the enemy. Thousands and thousands are going to die. Why? Because they didn't leave Jacob and his seed alone. Well, we're going to pick up today in Yasher with what we saw last week. And then we're going to go to Genesis chapter 36. So let's turn to Yasher. Here it is. We're going to go over kind of what we did in chapter 35 of Genesis. It says, and this is right after we're leaving, right after the battle, right after the boys killed Shechem, and then the 10,000 came, and then they left. The 7 kings left with all their men. Now this is where we're picking up our story in Yasher. It says, and at that time Yehovah appeared to Jacob. How do you appear? In a dream, probably. Or could be a vision, saying, arise, go to Bethel, and remain there, and make there an altar to Yehovah, who appeared unto thee, who delivered thee and thy sons from affliction. You know what? I've often wondered about, why do we make an altar? I wonder if it's in here. I said, so why do we make an altar? To commemorate Jacob's and his son's deliverance from affliction. It says. I think it was to acknowledge Yehovah, who had performed all the words that he had spoke to him. Remember, he said that when he was in Bethel the first time, remember, Jacob was depressed. He had come from Shechem at that point too. Only at that time in Shechem, Eliezer and 10 of his uncles robbed Jacob, planned to kill him. But by the grace of Yehovah, Jacob was kept alive. So Jacob was heading back to daddy, depressed, alone, impoverished. All his goods had been taken from him. And now, Jacob was kind of a rich kid, wasn't he? He was a very rich kid. So he's heading home now. But Yehovah met him here at Bethel and promised him that if he would trust him, that Yehovah would multiply his seed, would give him livestock, and also great riches. And Yehovah did everything that he said he would do in the next 20 years. Now, 23 years have passed. And he's coming back, really 22 and a half years have passed. And he's coming back to Bethel. And he's remembering, yes, Yehovah, what you said, you did. Remember, the first time he was there, he promised Yehovah that he called him the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. But he didn't call him his Elohim. He said, if you'll do all these, you'll be my Elohim as well. And so now he's coming back, and I think he's remembering. And even more so, Yehovah, remember, promised him that his seed would inherit the lands. And now he's seeing that Yehovah is preserving his seed. Just saw it when he got delivered from the Canaanites, all the Amalekites. 7 kings. And Jacob rose up with his sons and all belonging to him. And they went and came to Bethel according to the word of Yehovah. Do what Yehovah says. And Jacob was 99 years old when he went to Bethel. 99 and a half, actually. And Jacob and his sons and all the people that were with him remained in Bethel in Luz. Luz and Bethel are the same place. And he built an altar to Yehovah, who appeared unto him, and Jacob and his sons remained in Bethel for 6 months. We're going to see at the end of 6 months, he's going to be 100. At that time, Deborah, the daughter of Uz, the nurse of Rebekah, who had been with Jacob. And Jacob buried her beneath Bethel, under an oak that was there, terebinth tree. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel. So here's Rebekah. These are the 2 people that raised Jacob. His mother and his mother's nurse. They've been in his life the whole time, except when he was with his Shem and Eber, and later Eber. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the mother of Jacob, also died. When did she die? How old was she when she died? Let's round it off, if he's 100, she had him when she was 30. She dies at 130, doesn't she? I like figuring things like that out. It helps me understand more what's going on. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. At that time in Hebron, it says, let me start again. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, mother of Jacob, also died at that time in Hebron. The Same is Kurat Ha-Arba. Kurat Ha-Arba. Which is also where the cave of Machpelah is at. Remember? Mamre. And she was buried in the cave of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from Heth's seed. The seed of Heth. Multi-generations that came down from Heth. And The life of Rebekah was, look what it says, 103 years. No, it wasn't 103 years. It had to be 130 years. And she died. And when Jacob heard that his mother, Rebekah, was dead, he wept bitterly for his mother and made great mourning for her and for Deborah, her nurse, beneath the oak. Beneath the oak. Why is he mourning beneath an oak? I don't understand what's involved with that. And he called that place Alon Bakuth. Don't know what that means either. Let me see what my note says here. Here, let me do this. Torah does not record the death of Rebekah. Isn't it funny that Torah records the death of Deborah, but not the death of Rebekah? This number does not work with Joseph's age in verse 3. He's 99 or 100 at that time, so his mom had him at 30, must now be 130. Yeah, that's what we were talking about just a moment ago. And Lavan, the Syrian, died in those days. Look at why he died, you guys. For Elohim smote him because he transgressed the covenant that existed between him and Jacob. Gonna make a covenant with an Israelite? A man of Elohim, a spiritually born heir? Don't renege on the covenant. It's not going to be good for you. But not a good idea to break a covenant with one of Yehovah's men. And Jacob was 100 years old when Yehovah appeared to him and blessed him and called his name Israel. Well, we talked about this last week. When did he get his name? Did he get it back in Makanaim, the night before his brother came? The night that he wrestled with the man? The man. He says, and he was left alone. And then it says a man was there. Where'd he come from? Remember, this is what we talked about last week. Was the man himself? Was it spiritual man versus flesh man? Fighting the fears that he had concerning his brother Esau coming to destroy him and his household? Did he hurt himself that night? We talked about that last week. Remember, it said he dislocated his yarek. We talked about the inguinal hernia last week. Do you remember that? The bowels of a man dropping into his scrotum. Very painful. And this would explain a lot of things we talked about last week concerning things that Jacob have done. Remember, Dinah was taken. He sent his servants to bring her back. He didn't even go. He didn't run to the field, tell his sons about it. We talked about where he moved his tent and why maybe it moved it next to Bilhan instead of next to Leah. I surmise that it might be because Bilhan knew about the inguinal hernia, the pain that Jacob was having, and understood why he probably wasn't going to be coming to his women. And then we also talked about one last thing, and that was about why was Benjamin called Benjamin? Son of my right hand. Could it be that he had to use his right hand to push those intestines back to where they belonged, even when he was having sex? Geez, this is turning into an X-rated discussion, isn't it? No, there's something more going on here. They want to make it about dislocating his hip. You know what? I just can't go there. when we talk about the Yarek, we're talking about seed. All those who come from his loins, his Yarek, 70 it said in chapter 46 of Genesis. It said it multiple times. Well, now it says, and Jacob was 100 years old when Jehovah appeared unto him and blessed him and called his name Israel. I think this is where he got his name. And Rachel, his woman, the woman of Jacob, Jacob's woman, it says conceived. No, I don't think we're talking about conceiving. I think we're talking about she's going into labor. Because you can't conceive and give birth at the same time, can you? It says, at that time, Jacob and all belonging to him journeyed from Bethel to go to his father's house. Remember, this is at the end of 6 months. He's now leaving there, and he's going to go to Dad's house. On the way to Dad's house is when this is happening. And well, as they were going on the road, and there was yet a little way to come to Ephrath. Remember, Ephrath is about halfway between Bethel and Hebron. Rachel bare a son, and she had hard labor, and she died. Oh, poor Rachel. And Jacob buried her in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem, right near 3 miles from Jerusalem. And he set a pillar upon her grave, which is there to this day. And the days of Rachel were 45 years, and she died. 45 years. Do you remember how old she was when she married Jacob? Here, I put together some things. I really like doing this. I think it helps. Jacob met Rachel and Leah when he was 77. Okay, how old is he right now? 100. That was 23 years ago. They were 21 at the time. 21 plus 23 is 44. Okay, we're right in the ballpark. That said 45. It depends on the year and, when your birthday is at and all that stuff. Don't freak out about that. That is 56 years difference in their age. 77, they were 21. 56 years difference. Right now, he's 100. 100 minus 56 is 44. To kind of get us down to where we're at, the 45, where she's at. Rachel knew Jacob for 24 years and was his woman for 17 of those years. Remember, he married her when he was 84 years old. He married both girls when he was 84 years old. So from age 21 to 45, that's how long they knew him. And from age 28 to 45, that's the 17 years that Rachel knew Jacob, was married to Jacob. 17 years, not very long, was it? Now I also put Leah dies at age 51. We're going to see that shortly. And Jacob called the name of his son that was born to him, which Rachel bore unto him, Benjamin. For he was born to him in the land, now it says in here, on the right hand. In the land, on the right hand. On the right hand of what? Why did they say that? I think this is the translator. They don't know how to do it. Benjamin means son of my right hand. How is he the son of his right hand? Remember, it was Joseph who was always special to him, and it wasn't until Joseph died that Benjamin became so precious to him, because he was the only son of Rachel. And it was after the death of Rachel that Jacob pitched his tent with the tent of her handmaid Bilhan. Can't be in the tent, can it? It has to be with the tents. He pitched his tent with her tent. They were close together. And Reuben was jealous for his mother Leah on account of this. This is what's going on in Reuben's head. I think there's more. You know, during this situation with the Canaanite kings, Jacob wasn't exactly a pillar of strength, was he? Why have you done this thing to me, to bring the destruction of my household and myself? No, it was actually the sons who were leading out in defending their sister and righteousness as a whole. Is it possible that Reuben was almost, dare I say, attempting a coup by taking Bilhan to himself? Remember, this is what Absalom did to David when he tried to take David's household. He brought his women and his concubines to himself. He made them his women and his concubines. Well, it didn't go very well for Absalom, did it? But what's going on here? He is coming to Bilhan. I had some notes here. That's about the inguinal hernia and the Yarek and all those things. I think I've pretty much covered that between this week and last week. I'm going to let that go. And Reuben was jealous for his mother on account of this, and he was filled with anger, and he rose up in his anger and went and entered the tent of Bilhan, and thence removed his father's bed. What does it mean to remove your father's bed? Reuben is at most 16 years old, maybe 15, but at most 16. These are euphemisms for having sex with Bilhan, removing your father's bed. Here it says below this, profaned his father's bed, defiled his father's bed, all saying the same kinds of things. He uncovered his father's nakedness. A son is not allowed to go to his father's woman. This is what we see in Leviticus 18. He may have felt that Jacob should give his attention to Leah instead of her handmaid. Remember, Leah is his wife, his woman. Bilhan is a concubine. Not only that, Leah's his mom. I want my mom to be happy. This may also have been an attempt at a coup because he felt his father was not leading as he should. But I could sure make a case for that. At that time, the portion of the birthright, together with the kingly and priestly offices, was removed from Reuben's seed. Reuben, the firstborn, was intended to have the birthright, the kingly office, and the priestly office. Isn't that interesting? Those are the things that would have come down from the Melchizedek, wouldn't they have? King, priest, and birthright, the double portion. Look what it says. Was removed from Reuben's seed, for he had profaned his father's bed. And the birthright was given to Joseph, the kingly office to Judah, and the priestly office to Levi, because Reuben had defiled his father's bed. Isn't that interesting? This is when Judah got the kingly office. This is when Levi got the priestly office. It wasn't back in Sinai. It was right here. Profaned his father's bed. Yeah, here's some of the scriptures. I mentioned 18. It's in 20 as well. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. This is the same thing that happened to Noah when Ham apparently went to Naamah. Do you remember that? Here it says in Leviticus 18, 7 and 8. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother you shall not uncover. Okay, these are euphemism for taking your mother. Taking your mother or your father's woman. Not necessarily the same thing. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's woman. There's the father's woman. You shall not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. So in this verse, we're seeing that your mother you can't sleep with, nor can you sleep with your father's woman. You're defiling his bed. The man who lies with his father's woman has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Well, this is a euphemism that we're talking about, and a euphemism is a nice way of saying something bad. The man passed away instead of the man died. He uncovered his father's bed instead of saying he had sex with his mother or sex with his father's woman. One or the other. Levi, it appears the blessing, the leadership of Jehovah's people was split between Judah and Levi. Levi, it appears, may have received the priesthood here, not Sinai. Isn't that interesting? You know, we're going to see in the future here that when we were in Egypt and many of Jacob's seed went to serve Pharaoh, that the Levites didn't serve Pharaoh. Did you know that? I didn't know that until I read it here in Yasher. Very interesting. You know, there's a lot of men out here saying they're Jehovah's people who are serving Pharaoh. But there's men like me who will never, ever serve Pharaoh. I refuse. Can't go there. There's more important things to do. Reuben defiled his brother's bed, defiled Tameh. I wonder if Jacob ever went back to Bilhan after that. Could he? Wasn't her fault, but she's been with another man now. I'm guessing he probably never went to Bilhan again. And these are the generations of Jacob, who were born to him in Padan Aram. The seed of Jacob were 12. Well, we went through this last week also. Remember, we talked about Leah's seed. It says B'nai Leah. Well, ladies don't have seed. But we just prefaced this thing by saying these are the seed of Jacob. And we're going to finish it the same way it did in Torah. These are the seeds of Jacob, which were born to him in Padan Aram. Well, it talks about Leah B'nai. It talks about Rachel B'nai. It talks about Zilpah B'nai, but now for Zilpah B'nai and Bilhan B'nai, it says Va B'nai Zilpah and B'nai Zilpah and B'nai Bilhan and Zilpah's seed and Bilhan's seed. All these are the B'nai of Jacob, which were born to him in Padan Aram. And Jacob and his sons and all belonging to him journeyed and came to Mamre, which is Kirjath. There it is again, Kurat Ha-Arba. Kurat Ha-Arba. Oh, I bet I have it right here. Kiryat Ha-Arvah. That is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac sojourned, and Jacob and his sons, and all belonging to him, dwelt with their father, his father, in Hebron. And his brother Esau and his sons, and all belonging to him, went to the land of Seir. Well, they had long before gone to the land of Seir. He was in the land of Seir when Jacob came at 97, 3 years before. Remember, Jacob came from Seir then. So he had already been in Seir at that time. And he went back to Seir. Makes it sound a little bit like he's with him now. Well, he's not. And his brother Esau and his sons and all belonging to him went to the land of Seir and built there and had possessions in the land of Seir. And Esau's seed were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly in the land of Seir. Fruitful and multiplied? How were they fruitful? They multiplied. But you know what? This isn't saying multiplied and multiplied. It's fruitful and multiplied. I really question why it says fruitful. He multiplied exceedingly. He had lots of sons. We're going to see the sons that he's going to have. Well, this is where we're starting something new. Read Genesis 36. But I want to show you something before we turn here. Yasher gives us some very interesting light concerning these births of Esau. Look what it says. And these are the generations of Esau that were born to him in the land of Canaan. The seed of Esau were 5. 5 seed. Who did he get them from? It says, Adah bare to Esau his firstborn Eliphaz. And she also bare Ra'uel. We might say Ra'uel. And Livamah bare 3 sons, Jeush, Yaalam, and Korah. These are Esau's seed who were born in the land of Canaan. So now it's going to go in. It's going to tell us who Eliphaz bore, who Ra'uel bore, who the other 3 bore, who came from Livamah bore. But I want you to see here that Adah bore Eliphaz and Ra'uel. Remember that, because now we're going to turn to Genesis 36. Like I say, there's hardly a chapter in Torah that is more perverted. In fact, I don't think there is a chapter in Torah that is more perverted than this chapter. They just hardly get anything right. Now, this is the genealogy of Esau, who is Edom. Edom. You know, I don't think of Edom as being a man. I think of Edom as being a place. But I guess they make Edom a man as well. Look at the very last verse in this chapter says this. Here, I'm going to move to the top. Esau was the father of the Edomites. So now when we talk about the Edomites, we have to understand this is Esau's seed. You can't think of Edomites without talking about Esau's seed. You know, Torah does not do justice to helping us understand the wickedness of this man Esau. You know, you hardly even can see it in chapter 30, must be 33, when Jacob's coming back to Canaan from Haran. His brother comes to meet him with 400 men. We know from Yasher that he's coming to destroy them. The mothers, the sons, take everything, make them his. But in Torah, you don't see the drama that's going on in the story. Here comes Jacob or Esau. His brother's all worried, but here comes Esau. He's a nice guy. Gives him a big hug. Everybody's glad to see him. Well, we don't know what Yehovah did to turn the attitude of Esau and to give him the fear of his brother Jacob. We don't see all the times that Esau has done wicked things. Killing Nimrod, selling his blessing, no, his birthright, when he thought he had the garments and was going to rule the world. No, this man is not a nice man. And you know what? I got a hunch that the reason there's so many perversions in this particular chapter of Torah is because we just weren't careful about that relative, that black sheep relative, which was always trying to kill us. Look at the second verse. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan. Daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Alah, the Hittite. Oh my gosh, the confusion that goes on here. And Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite. Oh boy, just to try to figure out who these people are and how they fit together. I can't bear to take you through this again. You've seen it so much. If you want my notes, I'd be happy to give you my notes. But there are perversions. Remember, Adah and Bathmeth are the same woman. Torah doesn't seem to know that. And they call Bathmeth Ishmael's daughter. Ah! No, they're not. Ishmael's daughter is this woman. Where is she? Makalat. Makalat. The daughter of Ishmael, the sister of Nehebayoth, for a woman. That's Yasher. But yeah, there's so much perversion in here. We could spend a half an hour or more talking about all these different confusing things. And probably I'm just going to make it hard on you. So I'm not going to do it. But here it says, Adah, here, Bathmeth, Ishmael's daughter, again, wrong. Now Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Bathmeth bore Rahul. Well, we just saw that Adah bore Eliphaz, and then she bore Reuel. Remember? Bathmeth and Adah are exactly the same person. Doesn't even talk about Judith in this chapter. How come it doesn't talk about Judith? She was his first woman. He married her at 40. Says he married Bathmeth and Judith at 40. He didn't. He married Bathmeth, who's Adah, at 63. After he lost the blessing. Why is Judith not named? Because Judith only bore daughters. Look what it says in Genesis 26. When Esau was 40, he took his wives Judith and oh no, I guess that's not it. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is right here. It says Judith. This is Yasher 28:23 is where I found this. It says that she's not mentioned because she did not bear any sons. Don't bear sons, you're not going to be in the genealogy of Esau. Because it's about men. It's not about ladies. The ladies are mentioned. Why? Because they bear sons. Well, they got Ahibah, right? She bore Yeush, Yaalam, and Korah. That's what it said in Yasher as well. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his women, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the persons of his household, his cattle, and his animals, and all his goods which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to the country away from the presence of his brother Jacob. You know, this makes it sound like Jacob's there, but Jacob wasn't there when he left. Again, is this more perversions? He clearly left long before this. For their possessions were too great for them to dwell together, and the land where they were strangers could not support them because of their livestock. You know, I could make a case. We haven't come to it yet. We've seen that Israel has died at 180, but we're not there yet. In the last chapter, we're up to 100 years in the life of Jacob. It mentioned the death of Isaac at 180, which would make Jacob 120. But we're going to see that there's a lot that's going to happen between 100 and 120. When Isaac finally dies, we're going to see that Esau is going to take everything. The servants, the livestock, the silver and the gold, all the possessions that belonged to Isaac, Esau is going to take. Jacob's going to take one thing. You know what it is? It's the land. He was promised the land, and he's going to take the land. Doesn't even own the land, but he's going to take the land. But he's got lots of servants. He's got lots of livestock. So it may be that this is the point that we're talking about that we haven't got to yet. I'll bet you it is. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. It says again, Esau is Edom. Esau is Edom. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. So here we're going to name the sons again, and we were just getting ready to do that when we left Yasher. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Badmeth, the wife of Esau. Same people. The sons of Eliphaz were Timnah, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Now Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz. Timnah. Who's Timnah? The concubine of Eliphaz. Well, Timnah, we're going to see, is way down here. Where's Timnah? There she is. Nope, that's not her there. Timnah. There she is. We're talking about the chiefs of the seed of Seir the Hittite. He had Lotan, his firstborn. It was Lotan who had these two men, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. So Lotan's sister, Lotan was the son of Seir. She is the daughter of Seir. You see how it fits together? Ooh, I love seeing this stuff. But it says, now Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz. Daughter of Seir, concubine of Eliphaz. Why would she be a concubine? She's a daughter of Seir. She seems like she would be a free woman. Questions we have to ask ourselves all the time. Why do they call her a concubine and not Eliphaz's woman? But look at who she's going to bear. It says Esau's son. Now Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. Eliphaz, remember Eliphaz is the eldest son of Esau, the same man who came to kill Jacob when he was 12 years old. Jacob was 77 in Shechem. This man is going to bear Amalek. He's the father of the Amalekites, the same men who were attacking the trailing ranks of Israel when we came out of Egypt. They were the ones who were attacking the weak in Israel as we came out. They were attacking the back of our caravan. Remember, it was Joshua and Caleb, I think, that helped Moses hold up his rod. And when the rod was held up, we did really well. But when the rod came down, we started to lose. And so they held up the rod. All Moses had to do was hang on to the stick. And we won that victory. But that was the Amalekites. It was the Amalekites, the seed of Eliphaz, who Saul was supposed to kill later on. Wipe them from the face of the earth. We're talking about the seed of Esau. Wicked guy. He's not our friend. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's woman. These were the sons of Reuel. Again, they want to make it Bathmith, Esau's woman. No, Bathmith and Adah are exactly the same person. These are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Nizah. These were the sons of Bathmith, Adah, Esau's woman. These were the sons of Aholivamah. Aholivamah. Hard word for me to say. Esau's woman, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon. Let's double check that. We can see that. The daughter of Anah. Here it is. These are the seed of Anah. His seed is Dishan. And Aholivamah, the daughter of Anah. Well, there's two Anahs we're going to see here in a little bit. It gets a little bit confusing to keep all these people together because we have Anah, who is the brother of here Zibeon. See, Zibeon and Anah are seed of Seir. But both these are the sons of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. Okay, so here is, where'd it go? Here it is. Zibeon. Zibeon is going to have also another Anah. So he's going to have this. Zibeon has a brother Anah, but he also has a son Anah. These are the sons of Neviah, both Ajah and Anah. This is the Anah who found the water. Okay, they're telling us it's not the same Anah who was the son of Seir. Okay, let's go back up. Talking about these are the sons of Aholivamah. Aholibamah, Esau's woman, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon. Daughter of Anah. That still doesn't. Daughter of Zibeon. Daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon. And she bore to Esau these three men. We've seen them already several times. These are the chiefs. So now they're going to have just basically the same names, but they're going to call them chief now. Chief. These are the sons of Eliphaz, firstborn of Esau, chief Teman, chief Omar, chief Zepho, chief Khan. All the same men we just talked about. They're going to do the same thing for all the sons, and they're all going to call him chief. Chief, 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 chief. And these are the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's woman, chief Jeush, chief Yaalam, chief Korah. These are the chiefs who descended from Aholibamah, Esau's woman, the daughter of Anah. Esau's woman, the daughter of Anah. And these are the sons of Esau, who is Edom. And these were their chiefs. You know, this is really, it's so easy to skip through a chapter like this. I had someone tell me just this morning, I'd rather just skip the chapter. But you know what? If you don't take the time to dig in and learn these characters, you rip yourself off. Because when they talk about them later on, you can kind of fit them together and have them make sense. That's the real joy out of learning Torah, is bringing sense to what seems senseless. We can stay in our ignorance, or we can get to know these men and enjoy how they all fit together. Ooh, I think that's really fun. These are the chief of the Horites. Horites, the sons of Seir. Oh, I guess I skipped a verse here. 20. These are the sons, these are the seed. These are Seir, the Horite seed, who inhabited the land. We're talking about the land of Seir. Remember, that land is way down below the Dead Sea. That land is going to be taken in a coup by Esau, and he's going to kill all these men that we're going to talk about right now. Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Azar, Dishon, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, Seir's seed in the land of Edom. And the seed of Lotan were Hori and Haman. Lotan's sister was Timnah. Lotan's sister was Timnah. When Eliphaz took Timnah, he was bringing a covenant between the sons of Seir and Esau's sons. So Esau and Seir are coming together because his sons Lotan's sister, sons of Lotan. Lotan was Seir's son. So Timnah has to be, again, she's got to be Seir's daughter. So here is Esau's son, firstborn, Eliphaz, taking Seir's daughter, the sister of, what did it just say? The sister of Lotan. Lotan's sister was Timnah, the sister of Lotan, the daughter of Seir, for his son. Covenant. We're going to dwell together. These are the sons of Shobal. So we were just talking about Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, Dishan. So now they're going to take them one at a time. These are the sons of Shobal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sons of Zibeon. 1, 2. He says, Ajah and Anah. Now, just so you're not confused, remember Anah, here's Anah again, the son of Seir. Don't be confused, because here's Anah, the son of Zibeon. Zibeon has an Anah. Oh, well, did he name this boy after his brother? Appears he did. But he says, this is the Anah who found the water in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys of his father Zibeon. Found the water in the wilderness. What the heck does that mean? Well, Yasher's going to give us some very interesting information about what he actually did find when he was pasturing the donkeys for his father Zibeon. These are the seed of Anah, Dishan and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah. That's where she fits in. She's this guy's daughter. I guess she's the sister of Dishon, you could say as well. These were the seed of Dishon. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the sons of Dishon, Uz and Aran. These are the chiefs. So now they're going to do exactly the same thing that they did with Esau's seed, only they're going to put the word chief in front of all of them. Now these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom. Before any king reigned over Israel's seed. There's kings that are going to reign in Edom long before Israel ever has a king. But look at where they get their kings. Their first king is Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom. You know what? There's not a single king who reigns in Edom who is the son of Esau. Israel was commanded by Yehovah to take your king from among your brethren, one who is chosen by Yehovah and anointed by him. He gets anointed by him by being anointed by one of his representatives, doesn't he? But Esau is so wicked, they take kings from other nations. Isn't that interesting? So the first one is Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom. And the name of his city was Dinhabah. Then Bela died. Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his place. And Jobab died. Hassan of the land of the Temanites, reigned in his place. And it goes on and on and on. We're going to see, and as we go through Torah, we're going to see these, or as we go through Yasher especially, we're going to see all these men one at a time and where they came from and what they did. Usually they're making war with us, or making war with the Moabites or the Midianites. These guys are very, very aggressive. And when Hadad died, Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. And when Samlah died, Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place. And Saul died, and Bahanan, the son of Akbar, reigned in his place. And when Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbar, died, Hadar reigned in his place. And the name of the city was Pau. His woman's name was Mahetabah, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Metzahab. Boy, tough names. And these were the names of the chiefs of Esau according to their families and their places by their names. Again, for some reason, we're going through a bunch of chiefs again. Look at it, it says Chief Timnah. I don't remember a Chief Timnah and a Chief Aholibamah. It sounds like the same, it sounds like they're women. Did they have women chiefs? I wonder. It looks like they might have. Well, let's watch for that as we go through Yasher. These were the chiefs of the Edomites, last verse, according to their dwelling places in the land of their possessions. Esau was the father of the Edomites. We're going to go back now to Yasher. And we're going to be in Yasher. The next thing we talk about here is going to be Joseph being sold. There's a lot that's got to happen before Joseph is going to be sold. There's a 7-day battle that's going to be seen. You know, again, this 7-day battle that we're coming into is incredible. It's what we're going to see in the last days. What Israel's seed, the Shalach, the ones sent by Yehovah, the ones anointed by Yehovah, with the pillar of fire over their head, that's what these men are going to be like. Those that wait upon Yehovah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This is who we're talking about. And these men, these brothers, are our example of what it's going to look like in these last days after Yehovah shakes the earth. We're going to see this battle that they're going to begin is going to begin with a great shaking of the earth and the sun going dark. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Okay, to Yasher. Going to talk about kind of the same thing here. I think it makes a little bit, well, it makes a lot more sense in Yasher. But here it is. And these are the generations of Esau that were born to him in the land of Canaan. And Esau's seed were 5. Adah bar Esau, his firstborn, Eliphaz. And she also bare him Reuel. And look at it. It's not, that's part of the reason I'm having time. They call her Aholivamah, and this calls her Alivamah. So there's an extra syllable in there. Bear him Jeush, Yaalam, and Korah. These are Esau's seed who were born to him in the land of Canaan. And Eliphaz, the son of Esau, were born Timnah, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, Kenaz, and Amalek. The Reuel seed was Nakat, Zarak, Shammah, and Mizah. The sons of Jeush were one, two, three. The sons of Yaalam were 1, 2, 3. The sons of Korah, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the families of the sons of Esau according to their dukedoms in the land of Seir. Remember, they were called chiefs. They were all called chiefs in Torah. And these are the names of Seir, the Horites' seed, inhabitants of the land of Seir. Lotan, Shabal, Zibian, Anah, Dishan, Azur, and Dishon. Lotan's seed were 2, and their sister Timnah. Now, remember we said Timnah was the daughter of, didn't we say that Timnah was the daughter of Seir? And this is making her the daughter of, it says their sister. This is making her the daughter of Lotan. Yeah, that was confusing in Genesis. I think this is probably more correct. What does this say? Timnah will become Esau's concubine and have Amalek, the father of the Amalekites. Right. This is a Timnah who came to Jacob and his sons, and they would not give ear to her. And she went and became the concubine of Eliphaz. I still don't understand. Is it possible that Lotan kicked her out of his house? Otherwise, how is she going to be a concubine? It makes more sense that Esau and, like I said, Seir are going to use this woman to marry Esau's firstborn, Eliphaz, to bring that covenant between the two tribes. Nations, whatever you want to call them. She became the concubine of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, and she bore him Amalek. And Shobal's seed were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the sons of Zibeon were 2, Ajah and Anah. This is the Anah who found the Yemen. Look at what they called it before, the water in the wilderness. This is calling it the Yemen in the wilderness. What is it that he found when he fed the asses of Zibeon, his father? Remember, they were talking about the donkeys. He found the water in the wilderness when he was feeding the donkeys. Well, we're going to hear the story. It's a strange story, I got to tell you. And whilst he was feeding his father's asses, he led them to the wilderness at different times to feed them. And there was a day when he brought them to one of the deserts on the seashore, opposite the wilderness of the people. I think this might be near the Dead Sea. And while he was feeding them, behold, a heavy storm came from the other side of the sea and rested upon the asses that were feeding there, and they all stood still. Well, look what happens. And afterwards, 120 great and terrible animals came out of the wilderness at the other side of the sea. And they all came to the place where the asses were, and they placed themselves there. These says great and terrible animals. But look at how they describe the animals. And those animals, from their middle down, were in the shape of men's seed. And from the middle upward, some had likeness of bears. Some had likeness of kiphas. The tails, with tails between them, from between their shoulders, reached down to the earth, like the tails of a dushikfat, whatever that is. And these animals came and mounted what? Mounted the asses, rode upon the asses, and led them away, and they went away unto this day. 100 of these strange creatures came and took the asses. What's up with that? And one of these animals approached Anah and smote him with his tail, and then fled from that place. And when he saw the work, he was exceedingly afraid for his life. And he fled and escaped to the city. And he related to his sons and brothers all that had happened to him. And many men went to seek the asses, but could not find them. They're trying to recover their stock. And Anah and his brothers went no more to that place from that day following, for they were greatly afraid of their lives. This is the Anah who found the water in the wilderness. Is this the rest of the story? What's going on here? And Anah's seed, the son of Seir. Let's make sure we know which Anah we're talking about. Were Dishan and their sister Ahiblama, Aholivama. I don't know what it is. It depends on who you believe. And Dishan's seed were 1, 2, 3, 4. Etzer's seed was 1, 2, 3. And Dishan's seed were 2, Uz and Aran. These are the families of Seir, the Horites, seed, according to their dukedoms in the land of Seir. And Esau and his seed dwelt in the land of Seir, the Horites, the inhabitant of the land. And they had possessions in it and were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. Fruitful again, fruitful. How are they fruitful? I've always understood fruitful as doing good things. That's not Esau. How do you figure that? I don't understand. Fruitful and multiplied exceedingly, and Jacob and his seed and all belonging to them dwelt with their father Isaac in the land of Canaan, as Jehovah had commanded Abraham their father. Remember, it was the land of Canaan. It's going to be their land. But now, we're going to backtrack. Remember, this is just telling us, this is almost a hiatus that we just took. Talking about the seed of Jacob, and then talking about the seed of Esau and the seed of Seir, helping us to understand what's going to come in future chapters. But now, remember, Jacob was 100 years old when he came to Haran to his father Isaac. His father's not going to die until he's until Jacob is 120, he's 180. 60 years difference in their age. But now it says 105th year of the life of Jacob. That is the 9th year of Jacob's dwelling with his sons in the land of Canaan. 105th. Okay, he left when he was 97, and now he's 105. I don't get the same number. I get 8 years, 97 to 105. But again, it has to do with when birthdays fall, I suppose. And so, they're coming up with 105th year, which is the 9th year of Jacob dwelling with his sons in the lands of Canaan after he came out of Padan Aram. This is 5 years later. Now, how old are the boys? The boys were 8 to 14, 8 to 15. Now they're going to be 5 years difference, 13 to 20. Ben, of course, is only about 5 years old. Got to understand these ages. Got to keep working to understand that. And in those days, Jacob journeyed with his sons from Hebron. And they went and returned to the city of Shechem. 5 years later, what happened 5 years before? They wiped out the city of Shechem. And they and all belonging to them. This is what they're doing. They're coming to Shechem. They and all belonging to them and dwelt there. And Jacob's seed obtained good and fat pasture land for their cattle in the city of Shechem. The city of Shechem having been rebuilt. And there were in it about 300 men and women. 5 years have gone by. They've reseeded the city. New men in the city. He's gone back to his own land. Remember, he bought the land. It's Jacob's land. Jacob and his sons and all belonging to them dwelt in part of the field which Jacob had bought. There it is right there. From Hamor, the father of Shechem, when he came from Padan Aram, before Simeon and Levi had smitten the city. And all the kings of the Canaanites and the Amorites that surrounded the city of Shechem heard that Jacob's seed had come to Shechem and dwelt there. Oh no! And they said, shall Jacob's seed, the Hebrew, again come to the city and dwell therein after they have smitten all the inhabitants and driven them out? Shall they now return and also drive out those who are dwelling in the city or slay them? Okay, he only did that. Why? Because they had taken Dinah. And everyone in the city thought that was okay. That's why they all died. That's the only reason they all died. But now they're concerned for the city again. And all the kings of Canaan again assembled, same kings, came together to make war with Jacob and his sons. And Yasher, king of Timnah, went also to his neighboring kings, to Alah, king of Gaash, to Ikari, king of Shiloh, to Parathon, king of Khazar, to Susi, king of Sartan, to Lavan, king of Beth Koran, and to Shavir, king of Atnema, saying, this is what Yasher is going to say to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kings, 7 kings altogether. Come to me and assist me, and let us smite Jacob the Hebrew and his sons, and all belonging to him, for they are again come to Shechem to possess it, and to slay its inhabitants as before, expecting evil from Jacob's seed, when there was no evil intent at all, was there? And Yasher, king of Timnah, went forth to them with all their armies, and he encamped with them opposite to Timnah, without the city. Timnah must have been the closest city, I guess. Sounds like this guy, what's his name? You cannot do that. Yasher, king of Timnah. He seems to be the leader among them, doesn't he? All right, come to me, assist me, let us smite Jacob the Hebrew and his sons, and all belonging to him. I read that. All these kings assembled together and came with their camps, a people exceedingly plentiful, like the sands of the seashore, and they were opposite Timnah. At least 10,000 men coming again. It sounds like the exact same kings. And Yasher, king of Timnah, went forth to them with all his army, and he encamped with them opposite to Timnah, without the city, outside the city. And all these kings, they divided into 7 divisions. Well, that makes sense. Each king has his own division, being 7 camps against Jacob's seed. And they all sent a declaration to Jacob and his sons, saying, come you all forth to us, that we may have an interview together in the plain, an interview, and revenge the cause of Shechem's men, who you slew in their city. I'm not sure they want an interview. I think they want a battle. And you will now again return to the city of Shechem and dwell therein, and slay its inhabitants as before? No, you know what? These men, remember I said, these men, they had to eat their pride the first time these men showed up. Now, here they are again. What are they going to do? In a sense, because of the ridicule I'm sure that they took by not battling these 113 men the first time, remember, in the flesh, 113, 10,000. Easy peasy, right? No, they know it's not right. But now they've got no choice, because here are these people coming again, and the public opinion is forcing them into battle. And the sons of Jacob heard this, and their anger was kindled exceedingly at the words of the kings of Canaan. And 10 of Jacob's seed hastened and rose up, and each of them girt on his weapons of war. 10 sons. Who's missing? Joseph and Benjamin. Jacob is going to protect Joseph. He's already special to him. And of course, Benjamin is only 5 years old. He's very young. And there were 102 of their servants with them. equipped in battle array. So what do we have? We have 10 sons, 102 servants, that's 112, plus Jacob is 113. And all these men, Jacob's seed, with their servants, went toward these kings. Look at this! What boldness! The sons of Jacob and their servants are advancing to these kings. They're not waiting for these kings to come to them. They're going to them. Wow, what faith they have. Will we have this same faith in these last days against the armies that are coming against us? You guys, we don't have to be afraid if we know who we serve. If we know who defends us, if we know that we are the Segula of the Almighty Elohim, the creator of heaven and earth. He's going to protect us because he says the righteous will remain on the earth and the unrighteous will be taken from it. Watch what happens. And all these men, Jacob's seed with their servants, went toward these kings, and Jacob their father was with them. And they all stood upon the heap of Shechem. And Jacob prayed. Here's Jacob praying again. Isaac's not involved. His servants aren't involved. He's still alive. He's not going to die for another 15 years. But they don't know what's going on. And Jacob prayed to Yehovah for his sons. And he spread forth his hands to Yehovah. And he said, "O Yehovah, thou art Almighty Elohim. Thou art our Father. Thou didst form us. Thou didst form us." Didn't he form the Amalekites? Didn't he form all of Canaan's seed? It says, thou didst form us. Well, you know what? I think we're going to find, when we look at Torah a little more closely, that we're going to see that there's a difference between being created and being formed. Let me give you a couple examples. I think this is a good one for you. Here it is. Now, thus says Yehovah, who created you, O Jacob, and he who formed you, O Israel. Look at that. Two verses. He created Jacob. He formed Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Here's another one. This is Isaiah 43, verse 1. Oh, no, same verse. Isn't that funny? I put the same verse in there twice. I surprise myself sometimes. All right, well, we'll get rid of that then. Yeah, but we're see, there's other places where he talks about forming us. And, you know, we have to understand what that actually means. How can he create one and form another? No, I think forming has to do with that spiritual birth that Israel receives. Otherwise, how do you distinguish him from the Gentiles? No. Thou didst form us. We are the works of thy hands. I pray thee, deliver my sons through thy mercy, from the hand of their enemies, who are this day coming to fight with them, and save them from their hands. For in thy hand is power and might. Look what it says, to save the few from the many. Oh, that is beautiful. I want to be one of the few that's saved from the many in the last days, so that we can see the great arm of Yehovah working on our behalf. He says, and give unto my sons, thy servants, strength of heart and might to fight with their enemies, to subdue them and to make their enemies fall before them. And let not my sons and their servants die through the hands of Canaan's seed. But if it seemeth good in thine eyes to take away the lives of my sons and their servants, take them in thy great mercy through the hands of thy ministers, that they may not perish this day by the hands of the kings of the Amorites. Remember, the sons of Canaan are supposed to be our servants. They're supposed to serve us. We're supposed to be the masters. Don't let us be killed by our servants. And when Jacob ceased praying to Jehovah, look what it says. The earth shook from its place, and the sun darkened. And all these kings were terrified, and a great consternation seized them. You know what? I've said it many times. There's going to be a time when we are, after Jehovah raises up his 144,000, pillars of fire over our heads. People are coming to us. The following year, there's going to be a Passover, and the world's going to say, no, you're not doing a Passover this year. Because look what we got the last time you did a Passover. We don't need any more of these things going on. They're going to come to us to destroy us. And it's going to be at that time that Jehovah is going to shake the earth again. He's going to darken the sun. Islands are going to fall into the sea. Stars are going to diminish. But they're not going to fall, because they're going to fall on the great day of Jehovah. The earth shook. The sun's darkened. Here, this is David. Look what he says. David is a shadow picture of the 144,000. In my distress, I called upon Jehovah, cried out to my Elohim. He heard my voice in his temple. My cry entered his ears, and the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of the heavens quaked and were shaken, because he was angry. This is David, the one who stood up against Goliath. No, there's lots of shadow pictures between David and the 144,000 and Saul and what we would probably call the Antichrist, which is really the Assyrian. There's no Antichrist in Torah. There's an Assyrian in Torah. Someone who's going to lead us astray. First, you went down to Egypt, and then the Assyrian oppressed you. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Right now we're down in Egypt. But soon the Assyrian's going to oppress you if you don't make yourself Jehovah's man. And Jehovah hearkened to the prayer of Jacob. And Jehovah impressed the hearts of all the kings and their hosts with terror and awe of Jacob's seed. Oh my gosh, they're coming towards us! For Jehovah caused them to hear the voice of chariots. Chariots, voice of chariots, the sound of chariots, the sound of mighty horses from Jacob's seed, and the voice of a great army accompanying them. Remember what Elijah said when the Midianites came to him, to his servants? His servant was so afraid. He said, look up, see the deliverance of Jehovah. And he prayed, Jehovah, smite these men with blindness. Does Jehovah change? Does his word endure forever? Will he still deliver his called out men if they call on him? I believe he will. But you got to be a called out man first. One of the Hebrews. Not just anybody's a Hebrew. You become a Hebrew by leaving the kingdom of your birth and coming into covenant with Jehovah at Passover. And these kings were seized with great terror at Jacob's seed. And while they were standing in their quarters, behold, Jacob's seed advanced upon them. 112 men with great and tremendous shouting. They're shouting. Tremendous shouting. Ooh, we're going to see this shout many times. This is the roar that is going to go on. It says they roar like lions. They roar like young lions, taking the prey. And who can escape them? Yes, this roar, we're going to see it in the last days. It's going to be terrifying. And when the kings saw Jacob's seeds advancing toward them, they were still more panic-struck, and they were inclined to retreat from before Jacob's seed as at first, and not to fight with them. Boy, that would have been a good inclination. You should have done that, you guys. But they did not retreat, saying it would be a disgrace to us, thus twice to retreat from before the Hebrews. Well, pride goeth before a fall, doesn't it? It says in Samuel, you will save the humble people, but your eyes are on the haughty, that you may bring them down. Yeah, these guys, these people that are coming against us that think they're so strong, weapons of war, helicopters, tanks, they got nothing. They got nothing compared to what Yehovah has. Pride. They should have left. They wanted to leave, but they couldn't do it. Couldn't take the disgrace a second time. And the sons of Jacob came near and advanced against all these kings and their armies. And they saw, and behold, it was a very mighty people, numerous as the sand of the sea. And Jacob's seed called unto Yehovah and said, help us, O Yehovah, help us, and answer us, for we trust in thee. Let us not die by the hands of these uncircumcised men, who this day have come against us. Then David spoke to the men who stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach of Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living Elohim? No, you know what? I think David got what he said from right here. And the sons of Jacob girt on their weapons of war, and they took in their hands each man his shield and his javelin, and they approached to battle. Well, next week, the battle is going to begin. Oh my goodness, wait till you see how these men yell, how these men run, how these men jump, how these men can tear down the walls, the doors, the gates of these cities. This is all a shadow picture of what we can expect in the last days. Do you want to be one of the great ones in Jehovah's kingdom? Now's the time to act. Either you're going to be fighting with Yehovah, or you're going to be fighting against Yehovah. I'm talking to men. You ought to be on Yehovah's side. Don't be on the side of the kingdoms of this world. Don't send your sons off to war. Don't go to war yourself. You're fighting for the wrong kingdom. Make yourself Yehovah's man, holy Yehovah's man, and you will be preserved in the last days. Will we see the last days? I don't know. I sure hope so. I'm trying to raise up a kingdom right now. I do it every day. But if I don't, at least I made progress towards that end. I want to see, what does it say? No longer will they say, great is Yehovah who brought Israel's seed out of the land of Egypt. But great is Yehovah who brought Israel's seed out of the north and out of all the places where he has scattered them. Yes, we're going to see the great arm of Yehovah working for us, just like he did in the first time when we brought us out of Egypt. Well, this time, instead of bringing us into Canaan, He's going to bring us into the millennial kingdom. Do you want to be a part of that kingdom? We can live and go into the promised land. Man, I so want to be a part of that promised land. Well, next week we are going to spend, I'm sure, all of our time in Yasher. Wait till you see what happens in this it's either a 6-day or a 7-day war. 7 cities. But I don't remember if it's a 6-day or a 7-day war. I tend to think it's a 6-day war. But it's nonstop. They hardly get sleep. And wait till you see what happens. It's amazing. We're going to see the same thing in the last days. Well, thank you for joining me today, and we'll catch you again next week, okay? Thanks again. Bye now.